Okay, Assalamualaikum class. So let us now continue with our next chapter. So this chapter is chapter 4, which will be on repetition control structure. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is the meaning of repetition? As we all know, repetition is repeat. We can actually determine what kind of things we want to repeat. Let's say I want to repeat hello 5 times, and I can do that by repeating the word hello 5 times. So it all depends on the programmer how many times you want to repeat a certain things. Okay, so if you take a look here, a computer program can be executed either in sequence, meaning that we don't have any selection, we don't have any repetition. The program will be very simple. Okay, but if you put in your program, if else, you have if, okay, things like that, you put in decision. That is when inside your program you can make selections. Okay, so when you have selections, things like if else, okay, you are allowing the program to make decisions. For example, if the user enters female, okay, if the user enters F, is that a female or is that a male? Okay, you can ask question. So the answer could either be, if the user enters F, is that true or is that false? If it's true, then it's a female. If it's false, then it's a male, for example. Okay, so with selection, with if else, you are making decision. So when the answer is true, let's say if gender equals to F and the answer is true, the process that you're doing is you're only doing it once. Okay, but when it comes to repetition, okay, since repetition means you want to repeat, you are also asking question. Let's say you ask, do you want to repeat, or you want to ask, do you want to continue inside the program? If the user enters yes, then the program will repeat the same thing over and over again until the user enters no. So that's the difference between selection and repetition. Okay, selection, once a decision has been made, it is only done once. Whereas repetition, okay, when the decision is made, you can ask the same question over and over again. Okay, so I'll show you a simple example for you to further understand this concept. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you remember the example that I gave you in our last chapter, whereby if you want to make a cup of tea. Okay, so let's take this example where we want to make a cup of tea. All right, the simplest way for us to create a cup of tea is by, so I'll start, okay, by, let's say, in a cup I put my tea bag, so I add tea bag. Okay, so after I add my tea bag, I pour water. Okay, all right, after I pour the water, all right, I can add sugar. So once I've added my sugar, okay, I can just stir, and that will be the end of my process in creating a cup of tea. But again, like I said, this is in sequential. Okay, sequential. Okay, a program can either be sequential, and you can also add some selection, you can also add some repetition. Okay, so this situation is if everyone drinks their tea with sugar. Okay, but there are certain people, okay, who drinks their cup of tea without any sugar. So for us to cater to the people who don't drink tea with sugar, okay, we can change a bit of the process here, okay, by including selection. All right, so let's try to include selection here. So when we have a selection, we need to ask a question. So the question that we want to ask is, do you want to add sugar? So remember, when you have a selection, okay, any question that you want to put inside your diamond, the answer must be either true or false. So if it's true, then we can add the sugar. Okay, if it's false, we can just stir, and then it will be the end. Alright, so if the person who wants sugar, it will add the sugar, then it will go to stir, and then it will end. Alright, so basically we'll know that this thing uses, okay, if. Let's try with a different color so that you can see better. Okay. Alright, this thing uses if. Alright, because if, when this is true, okay, it will go inside here and it will be done only once. Okay, only once. Alright, but when we have this program right here, okay, we can also ask a question: how much sugar do you want inside your tea? Okay, so you can cater to the people who wants the sugar to be really sweet or not that sweet. Okay, so to change that, okay, the question that you ask here could still be the same. All right, it could still be just, do you want to add sugar? So if the person says yes, okay, inside our cup, okay, we will add in the sugar. So there's this sugar right here. All right, so but if the person wants it to be more sweet, so we know that we want to add more sugar inside here. So meaning that we can repeat the same question over and over again. So this is when repetition comes in. All right, so we want to repeat. Which part of this we want to repeat? We want to repeat this part. Okay, so if the user wants to add sugar, then we will keep on adding sugar depending on how many times the user wants. All right, so if the user says yes, add sugar, then it will add the sugar. So the flow here, if you use a selection, it will only be done once, right? So it will go from here to here. But now, since we want to include repetition, we know that, okay, it will not be done only once. Instead, okay, we will make the flow go back up. Where? Before the question. Okay, so let me repeat and explain that again. All right, so let's say you put your tea bag inside there, then you already add your water. Okay, then you ask the user, do you want to add sugar? And the user says yes. Okay, so when he says yes, it will add the sugar right here. Okay, then after that it will go back, because you're not done. You ask the person again, you want to add sugar? So if the person wants more sugar, then it will say yes. Okay, then it will add the sugar. All right, then we'll go back. If the person wants more sugar, yes, so it will add more sugar. All right, and then we'll go back to the same question. If the user wants to stop, then it will say no. All right, so when the person says no, the condition now becomes false. So when it becomes false, it will stop and it will not go inside here. All right, so it will go down here, it will stir, and you will get your cup of tea. So that's the difference between selection and repetition. Selection only done once. Selection, it is only done once. Whereas repetition, it can be done more than once. Okay, either 0 or more times. So that's the difference between selection and repetition.
So like I've said, repetition, also known as looping, okay, allows the computer program to execute the same sequence of statements over and over again. But this is only possible if the loop condition remains true. So whenever you want to do a repetition or a loop, you must have a question. Okay, so you must have that diamond shape. So inside there you will have a condition. So your condition can either be true or false. So if it's true, okay, when the answer is true, you can repeat your question again and again. So once the question is false, then the looping will stop. Okay, so repetition is also called a loop, or it is also called an iteration. Now, why do we need looping? Okay, so let's take a simple example. Okay, it says here, write a program that will display the word hello 10 times. So if you take a look at this program right here, you will notice that on this left side, this is the program with no repetition. So if I want to display the word hello 10 times, then I will copy and paste the same statement over and over again up to 10 times. I mean, this is okay if it's only 10 times. If I tell you to do it around 50 times or 100 times, Are you able to copy and paste the same thing over and over again? Are you able to count the same thing? Okay, so this is not very efficient. It's not a very efficient way for you to do it. Okay, so instead of manually copy and pasting the same thing to repeat things, you can use repetition or looping to repeat your statement that you want to repeat. In this case, what is the thing that we want to repeat? We want to repeat the word hello 10 times. Okay, so if you take a look at this program on the right here, okay, this is a program that have used repetition inside here. Okay, so the thing that we want to repeat is the thing that we place inside of our repetition. Okay, so when we have repetition, we need to know how many times we want to repeat. That is how we'll know when the program will stop repeating what we want. Okay, so in this case, if I want to repeat the hello 10 times, how many times do I need to repeat? Of course, 10 times. So how do I do that? I need to count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once it gets to the 10th, then that is the last time that it will repeat. Once it gets to the 11th iteration, then it will stop. Okay, because you have stated that I want to repeat this 10 times. And that is how repetition works. Okay, we'll go into details on how we can write our repetition using while, using do while, using for, etc. Okay, so repetition, there are two types of repetition structure. We have counter control loop and sentinel control loop. Okay, there is a huge difference between the two. Okay, counter control loop is when you know when to stop. So if I ask you, I want to display the word hello 10 times. Do you know when to stop? Yes, because in the question you said you want to repeat hello 10 times. So when do we stop? We stop when the hello has been displayed 10 times. Okay, that is when we use counter control loop. Okay, the word counter here, okay, you will notice from the word count. Okay, we need to count how many times we want to repeat. Alright, whereas sentinel control loop is when we don't know how many times we want to repeat. Okay, so we'll go into sentinel loop after this. So for today, okay, we'll go into counter control loop. Right? So for any program in C++, if you want to use a repetition, you can either use while, you can use for, and you can use do while. Okay? So there's a difference between each one. It's up to you which one you want to do, but in the end, all of them can be used to repeat things. Right? So counter control loop. So this is the first type of loop that we'll be going into. Okay? Counter control loop is used when the number of repetition is known in advance. So the looping will stop after the segment of code has been repeated n times. So like I've said earlier, I've given the example earlier, display the word hello 10 times. Do we know how many times we want to repeat? Yes, 10 times. So it will stop once the hello has been displayed 10 times. Okay? Getting input from user 5 times. So input is cin, right? So it will get the cin 5 times. Okay? Next example, repeat process 3 times. So you can calculate things up to 3 times, up to how many times you want. So you know when to stop. Okay? So when it comes to looping, okay, you must remember this. These are the 3 steps that you must always put inside your program in order for your looping to work. Okay? First of all, you need to declare and initialize a control variable. Okay? Then you need to evaluate the control variable against the loop condition. Lastly, you need to update the control variable at each loop, either by incrementing or decrementing.
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you how we can actually create or use or do our counter control loop. Okay, so with a counter loop, okay, there are 3 types of structure that you can use. You can use a while loop, you can use a do while loop, and you can also use a for loop. So any of this can be used when we create our counter control loop. Okay, so For now, I'm going to teach you how to do a counter loop using a while structure. Okay, so like I said earlier, whenever we want to create any type of loop, there are 3 steps that we must remember. So the first step that we need to do is we need to initialize our control variable. The second step is we need to evaluate our control variable. And the third step is we need to update our control variable. All right, so if you notice that for each of our step, okay, we must, okay, for each of our step here, all right, we must keep in mind that we need to have a control variable. So for each of the step, it will relate to the control variable that we use. Okay, like I've said earlier, control variable is a variable that we can use to help count how many times we want to repeat things. Okay, so we can just create any variable that we want. Okay, so let's say I name my variable as Kira. Okay, so my control variable here, I want to name it as Kira. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is, okay, using our Kira right here, which is our control variable, we need to initialize our control variable. Okay, so initialize is what value you want to start with. Okay, so before we can count, what is the value that you want to start with? Okay, so the second step is we need to evaluate our control variable. Okay, so let's try to do a very simple example where we want to display hello, let's say 10 times. Okay, we want to display hello 10 times. So how do we do that? Okay, let's say we use the variable called Kira. Okay, so the first step for us to do is we need to initialize our Kira. Okay, so initialize is by giving the first value. So what we can do is we can write Kira equals to, so what value you want to start with? Let's say since I'm not counting anything, we can start the value as 0. Okay, so int, so we need to declare our variable, okay, which is Kira equals to 0. So right now our variable is called Kira and it will store the first value, which is 0. So this is our first step, okay, which is initialize. All right, now let's go into the second step, which is evaluate. So when we evaluate, we need to determine when do we stop repeating our loop. Okay, so we need to create a question. Okay, evaluate is here. Okay, what is the question you want to ask inside your diamond? Okay, so the question can either be true or it can be false. Okay, so in this case, how many times do we want to repeat? We want to repeat this 10 times. Okay, so let's say you want to display the word hello 10 times. Okay, and you said that, okay, we're starting the value off as 0. So 0 is our starting value. Okay, so when do we stop? Okay, so when do we stop? We need to also determine what is the value that you want to put here. So we will count from 0 until this value. Okay, so since you want to display this hello 10 times, so you know that we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Does the 10 include or not? Do we include this 10 or not? Okay, so do I write in here, do I write 9 or do I write 10? So which one is the answer? So we need to try to check this. Okay, so this is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know that since we start from 0 until 9, we will get 10 times. So meaning that 10 does not count. Okay, since we start off with the value 0. So if we start with the value 0, our stop value will be 9. Because from 0 to 9, it will repeat up to 10 times. But if you do Kira equals to 1, Okay, so meaning that we start at 1, then of course starting from 1 until 10, this will be repeated 10 times. So it depends on which value that you start with. If you start with 0, it will stop at 9. If you start at 1, it will stop at 10, because both of this will be repeated 10 times. Since you have determined your start value as 0, so you know that Kira equals to 0. So this is your initialized, your start value. Okay, so you know that in order to repeat this 10 times, okay, I need to stop at 9. So what is my condition? So since we're doing a loop, okay, we must have a condition. So what is the keyword that we write at the front? We use while. So this is the first type of loop that we can use. So we can write while. So what is the question you want to ask here? It will depend on when you want to stop. Okay, so you know that I will stop this loop when it reaches 9. So it can be 0, it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so all of this value is actually less than 9. Notice that 0 is less than 9, 1 is less than 9, 2 is less than 9. Okay, because you're starting with the value 0. So all of this value will be less than 9. So you know that you need to write less than 9 here. Okay, no, less than 9, less than equals to 9, because it includes the 9. Okay, so there's two ways for you to write this. Either you write less than equals to 9, meaning that the 9 is included, or you can write less than 10, because 10 we can't include this 10, so it will start from 0 until 9. So all of this is 10 times. Okay, so either you write less than equals to 9 or less than 10. Both of them produce the same thing. Okay, so what do we write here? At the front here we write Kira, because we're starting with 0. Okay, so 0 can be less than 10. Okay, so it can be so when you do your repetition, all the value will start with Kira. So this is your control variable, this is also your control variable. Okay, so whatever you want to repeat, you place inside your loop. Okay, so whatever you want to repeat, you place inside here. Okay, so in this case, what do we want to repeat? We want to repeat the word hello. So how do we display hello? We write see out hello. Okay, like that. So we have done our second step. Okay, so this is our second step. Okay, last step is by updating our control variable. Okay, this is very important. Do not forget to do this, because this update will allow you to continue on with. Okay, like I said, you need to do your update, right? So where is your update? Your update usually happens around here, right before you go back up here, because you know that with repetition it will go back up, right? Okay, it will repeat. So your update should be just before you finish your repetition, and then it will go back up. Okay, so what do I put inside here? Okay, so this update will determine, okay, how do you want to continue? How to continue. Okay, so again, okay, if you take a look here, our Kira, okay, which is your control variable, our Kira start at 0. Okay, so this is the initial value. So Kira equals to 0. So then it will move on to the next statement, right, which is your evaluate. So is Kira, which is 0, less than 10? Yes. So when it is less than 10, it will display the word hello. So you will have your output, okay, your output here as hello. Okay, then if you don't have the update here, it will move on right back up. Okay, then it will ask the same question. Is Kira less than 10? Then you will answer, is 0 less than 10? Yes. Then it will display hello. Okay, then we'll go back up. Okay, since there's no update, it will go back up again. Again, Kira is what? 0. Is 0 less than 10? Yes. So it will display hello again. Since there's no update, it will go back up. You notice that this will be in an infinite loop. Okay, it will keep going on and on, non-stop, because we don't have an update here. Okay, that's why update is very, very important for you to place right before you go back up, because this will determine whether you can continue or not this condition. Okay, so let's continue this back again. All right, so I'll explain to you how you can actually do your update. Okay, as we all know, Kira start with 0. Okay, so we know that it will stop at 9, right? So 0 until 9. So how do we get from 0 until 9? How do you want to get from one number to another? So from 0, the next number I want to move on is 1. So how do you get from 0 to 1? Is by adding 1. So after 1, then I want to move on to the number 2. So how do you get from 1 to number 2? I want to add another number, plus 1. Okay, how do you get from 2 to the next number, which is 3? Is by adding plus 1. So notice that the pattern here is plus 1. Okay, so what do you want to plus? You want to plus the Kira here. Okay, since this value is the Kira. Okay, so 0, it starts with 0, right? 0 plus 1 will be 1. Then from 1, if you plus another 1, you have 2. And then you plus another 1, you have 3, and so on. That is how you get from 0 to 9. Alright, so we know that since the update, it needs to be updated with the same control variable. So you write here Kira. So how do you want to update the Kira? You can do Kira equals to Kira plus 1. So you want to use the same value Kira, and then you want to update it with 1. Okay, this is a long way to write it. An easier way to write this, okay, or you can write Kira plus plus. Okay, either you write Kira equals to Kira plus 1 or Kira plus plus. So for me, I prefer to use the plus plus. Okay, so I'll remove this and I'll just write C out hello. After that, I do Kira plus plus. So this is my third step, which is my update. Okay, so let us try to trace this so that you'll understand this a bit better. Okay, so again, Kira equals to 0, right? So you've done this. So this is your initialize. All right, Kira is 0. Then you go to your condition. Is Kira, which is 0, is 0 less than 10? Yes. So since it's true, it will go inside and it will display the word hello. Okay, then Kira plus plus. Okay, Kira plus plus meaning that from 0, it will be updated to 1. Okay, so then when you go back up, okay, Kira, which is now 1, is it less than 10? Yes. So then you will display the word hello again. Now notice that when you display the word hello, does it go down here or does it go at the side? Okay, if you don't write the word and L here, it will be displayed on the side here. But if you want it to go down, okay, you need to write at the side here, you need to write the word and L. So I'll just add here and L. So if you write and L here, so you know that every single time it displays hello, it will make the next one go down. Alright, so since 1 is less than 10, yes, so it will display the word hello down here. Okay, then Kira plus plus. Kira plus plus now becomes 2. Okay, so is 2, go back up, is 2 less than 10? Yes. So since yes, it will go down here and then it will display another hello. Then it will update Kira to 3. Okay, then it will go back here. Is 3 less than 10? Yes. Okay, then it will go down here and display hello. So this will be repeated for how many times? Until it reaches 9. Okay, so it will display this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this hello will actually be repeated up to 10 times. Okay, so when it gets to the 9th number, okay, it will go to Kira plus plus, which now becomes 10. All right, So it will go back up here. Is 10 less than 10? No. So meaning that 10 is not included inside this condition. So then now this will become false. So in the end, your output, the hello, will be displayed 10 times. And that is how you make use of the while structure. Okay, so let's take a look at this question right here. It says for you to write a program that will repeat the statement number. What kind of number? Around 5 times. For example, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So we're going to be doing this using a loop. So in this case, we're going to use a while loop. All right. So again, when you come across a looping question, you might want to decide whether this is a counter loop or is it a sentinel loop. So if you take a look at this question, for sure you know that this is a counter loop because you know how many times you want to repeat. How many times you want to repeat? I want to repeat this around 5 times. Okay, so this is how many times you want to repeat, and you also need to decide which part that you want to repeat. So the thing that I want to repeat is this number and then with a hashtag. All right, so these are the things that you want to repeat. So the thing that changes are these things, okay, the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those things will change depending on the repetition that you do. All right, so let's try and solve this particular question. Okay, so first of all, I'll do a flow chart so that you can see what's going on easier. All right, so we start with the start shape. Okay, so again, what's the first thing that we need to do? All right, so whenever we want to do any kind of looping, so the first thing that we need is we need to initialize our control variable. Okay, the second thing, we need to evaluate our control variable. Thirdly, we need to update our control variable. So since we know that all of these are needed, which is our control variable, so let us name our control variable. So I'll come up with one name. Let's say I name this as count. Okay, so count would be my control variable. So what value do you want to start with? So this is my initialize. Okay, so maybe I want to start it with equals to 0. Now, are you sure that you want to write with equals to 0 when you're counting this? Okay, you can, but let's take a look at this question. The thing that we want to display first is number 1. So you can see we want to display 1 right here. So from 1, it will change to 2, it will change to 3, to 4, to 5. So we know that it will start at 1. So this is start. So instead of writing count equals to 0, what we can do is we can do it count equals to 1. So this is the first value that we want to start with. Okay, so we've done our initialize. So the next part is evaluate. So when you evaluate, of course, we need to have a condition. So what should be inside here? The thing that are inside here is what basically when you repeat, you need to know when to stop. So initialize is you start. Okay, evaluate is when you stop. So when do we stop? We know that we want to stop when it reaches 5. So our control variable name is count, right? So you just need to write count. Okay, meaning that you can accept 1, you can accept 2, we can accept 3, we can accept 4, and we can also accept 5. So all of these numbers are actually less than equals to 5. All right, so if this is true, okay, what would happen? So anything that is true are the things that you want to repeat. So what are the things that we want to repeat? So you put it inside here. Okay, so the thing that I want to repeat is I want to display a number, and then you have the hash and then that number. Okay, so I want to display, okay, the word number and then with that hash. Okay, so another thing that I want to display next to it is that number. So where does this number come from? It comes from the count that we created earlier. So all you need to do is just write count. Okay, so since this is an output, we'll just do that. Okay, so are we finished? No. Okay, we've done start, the initialize, we've done the evaluate. Okay, the last thing before we finish our repetition, we need to do the update. So the update is done right before you continue back to your question here. Okay, so what is our update? Okay, so we know that starting from 1, okay, how do we get to 5? So we know that to get to 5, I need to always plus 1. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. So we know that if it is plus 1, we can do plus plus. So all I need to do right here is count plus plus. Okay, like that. So since we've done all 3, then your looping is complete. So with a loop, it will always go back to the evaluate. Okay, it will always go back here. All right, so basically you've done this part. Is there anything that you want to display after this? No. So end. And that is how you solve this question. Okay, so let's move on to actually writing the program. Okay, so for this problem, we don't have an input. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to continue and terus or direct. Okay. Alright, so for this problem, there's no input. So we're going into the process, which is initializing our control variable. So our control variable name is count. Okay, and we initialize it as 1. Okay, so we can always declare that int count equals to 1. So after that, we can go into our condition. So count will be less than equals to 5. Okay, so curly braces, so the thing that is inside here will be the things that we want to repeat. So we want to display number with a hash, and then next to it we want to display our count. So the next line of output, we want to make it go down, so that's why we write end L. All right, so lastly, inside here, before we go back up, we need an update. Okay, so we all know this is the initialize, this will be the evaluate, and in the end we also will have our update. Okay, so for our update, we're going to do count, since that's our control variable, plus plus. Okay, so initialize, evaluate, update. So in the end, that is how we solve this problem, as simple as that. Okay, so initialize first as 1, okay, then it will stop at 5, so it will keep repeating this from 1 until 5, and it will display a number from 1 until 5. All right, so that's how we solve this problem. Okay, so for this question, it asks you what is the output for the following program if the input is 3. So when you come across this problem where it asks you to find the output, meaning that you will need to come out with what will be displayed on the console. Okay, the black console when the program is executed. All right, so when you find a question like this, you need to trace the program. All right, so it says here find the output if the input is 3. Okay, since our input is cin, so we know that x will be inserted by the user with 3. Okay, so when you need to find the output for a program, please do tracing. Okay, so since, okay, take a look at the first line, int x, y, z, and then you will have output equals to 0. So you will have a variable named output, okay, which is 0. Okay, then c in x, so we have another variable called x. Okay, inside here it will receive 3. Then y equals to x modulus 2, so meaning that you will have a variable y, so whatever that is calculated here will be stored inside y. So y equals to x modulus 2, so x is 3, 3 modulus 2, so when we know that modulus will give you the remainder, right? So 3, so we know that the remainder will be 1. So equals to 1. So 1 will be stored in y, so then you will have y1. Okay, then it will ask you if y not equals to 0, is y, which is 1, not equals to 0? Is that true or false? True. Okay, since y and 0 is not the same, so that is true, then it will go inside. So then you will find z equals to x plus 1, meaning that you will have another variable called z. Okay, z equals to x plus y. So inside x is 3 plus y, which is 1, which will be 4. So 4 will be stored in z, so this will be 4. Okay, so then you will find loop. Okay, so if it will be executed only once. Okay, so when you have while, meaning that it will be executed more than one. All right, so it will ask you z more than 1, so you will have z, which is 4. Is 4 more than 1? Yes, so you will go inside, then you will find output equals to z over 2. So you will have output equals to z over 2. Z, which is 4, so 4 over 2 will be 2. So 2 will be stored inside output, so this now becomes 2. So then you will have C out whatever output. So you will have inside your console here, okay, what will be displayed here? It will be displayed the space, and then you will have output. Okay, so output is 2, so it will be this 2. Okay, then z minus minus, so meaning that the z will be updated minus 1, so this now becomes 3. Okay, so when you go back up, since this is a loop, okay, it will go back up. Okay, so go back up, then it will check, is z, okay, 3 more than 1? Yes, so since 3 is still bigger than 1, it will go inside. Output equals to z over 2. So z previously it was 4, so this now have become 3. 3 over 2, so this now becomes 1. So 1 will be stored inside output, so this now becomes 1. So C out space, so meaning there's a space here, then you will have output, which is 1. Okay, then z minus minus, so from 3 it will change to 2. Alright, so we'll go back up, then it will check, is z, which is 2, more than 1? Yes, it's still true. It will go inside. Output equals to z over 2. So previously it was 3, now this becomes 2, since z is 2. 2 over 2, still it is equals to 1. So output is still 1. Okay, so C out space, you will have a space here, then output, which is 1. So you will display 1 there. Okay, z minus minus, this now becomes 1. Okay, so when you go back up, okay, is z more than 1, which is 1 here? Is 1 more than 1? No. So this has now becomes false. When this becomes false, it will not go inside, so it will end, and then it will go to here. Since there's still nothing, so the program will end. Okay, so in the end, this is what will be displayed on the screen, 211. So this will be your answer. Okay, so this will be your output. Okay, now just a quick question. So if for any program that that you find, okay, it is best that you identify which is the initialize, which is the evaluate, and which is the update. So for this problem, the initialize would be, so before we can do before we can find what is the initialize, what is the evaluate, and what is the update, find the control variable first. Okay, so where can you find that? You will notice that inside your condition, okay, you will notice that we are using z, so meaning that the control variable here is z. Okay, so since z, okay, is the control variable, so you will find what is the first value that is stored inside z, which is here. So this will be the initialize. Okay, so z equals to x plus y, so we know that z here, the initial value would be 4. Okay, then the condition, of course, would be this. Okay, evaluate, which is this. All right, and then the update is this. Before we go back, this is the update. All right, and for every program, it is best that you identify which are the initialize, which are the evaluate, and which is the update. Okay. Okay, so for this exercise, the question said, using a while loop, write a program that will display the numbers from 100 to 90 backwards in one line. Display the messages start loop before the line of numbers and end loop after the line of numbers. So to solve this problem, the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out whether it has an input or not. So in this case, there's no input. Okay, so we'll go straight into the process. So the first thing that we want to display is we want to display the message start loop. So to do that, all we need to do is just write cout start loop. Okay, so then we need to do end line. Okay, and then after that we want to display the number from 100 to 90. So to do this, we need to do a looping for that. So for a loop, the first step is to initialize. So to initialize, we need to come up with a control variable. All right, so in this case I'll choose count. Okay, so maybe I'll do count equals to, since we want to start, initialize is by stating the initial value. So what is the value that you want to start with? So in this case, we want to display the number 100 first. So count will be equals to 100. Okay, so we can declare this int count. Okay, so count equals to 100. Okay, and then after the initialize, we can do the evaluate. Okay, so evaluate. So in this case, we're going to use a while loop. All right, so what is the condition you want to place inside here? So of course it will start with count. Okay, since we start with the value 100, so what will be the value that we want it to stop? So in this case, we want to display 100 until 90. So it means that the number could be 100, it could be 99, 98, 97 until 90. Okay, and you will notice that all of this number is bigger than 90. So that's why we're going to write here more than equals to 90, because we want to stop at 90. Okay, all right, so once you've done the condition, open up your curly braces. So whatever is inside your curly braces is what we want to repeat. So in this case, what do you want to repeat? We want to display the numbers that we are counting. Okay, so cout, all we need to do is just write count. So of course it will display the first number, okay, which is 100. All right, so do we need to add and L? No. Okay, we just need to write a space because we want it all in one line, right? So before we finish, we need to do an update. Okay, so update will determine how do we get from 100 to 90. So you will notice that each number will be subtracted by 1. Okay, so meaning that our count will be minus minus because the number is decreasing by 1. Okay, and then yeah, so we've got initialize, we've got evaluate, we've got update. All right, so it starts at 100. So if that is true, is 100 more than 90? Yes, so it will display 100 here. Okay, and then count minus minus, then from 100 it now becomes 99. So is 99 more than 90? Yes, so we'll keep doing this until it reaches 90. All right, so in the end, you just want to display the end loop. Cout and loop. Okay, and that is how we solve this problem. Okay, so this will be the last question that we'll be looking at today. So the question says, using a while loop, write a program that accepts 10 scores and display the average score for 10 students taking CSC126 test 1. So if we look at this problem right here, there is an input that we need to take. Okay, so whenever you analyze a problem, we need to figure out which part of the program that we want to repeat. So in this case, the thing that we want to repeat is the score. If you notice that enter score is repeated 10 times, so that is the thing that we need to repeat right now. Okay, so first of all, we're going to do cout. Okay, based on the design, CSC126 test 1. Okay, and then int L, then cout. We have a dash here, Okay, so once we've done that, we want to write C out, enter, score, C in, score. So we know that this score is a variable, so we need to declare that as integer. Okay, now notice that this score, enter score, C in score, we want to repeat this. We want to repeat this 10 times. Okay, so we know that this thing needs to be placed inside our while loop. Okay, so we need to do our while loop. Okay, so first of all, whenever we want to create a loop, we need to have the initialize. Okay, so name your variable. So maybe I name it as count. Okay, what do you want to start with? Let's say I start with 0, because right now I'm not counting anything. Okay, then after that we need to evaluate. Okay, so we need to declare that as count here. Okay, so to evaluate, of course we need to have a condition, so while. Okay, so what do I write here? So since our control variable name is count, so you write count here. Okay, how many times you want to repeat? I want to repeat this 10 times, so meaning that 0 is included, so 0 until 9, so it will be less than equals to 9, or you can write less than 10. Okay, so from 0 until 9 we will repeat this 10 times. Okay, so whatever that is inside here is what we want to repeat. So since we want to repeat this thing 10 times, we're going to bring this inside the while loop. Okay, so whatever that's inside the while loop will be repeated 10 times. Okay, alright, but we're not done here, because the question says we want to accept the score 10 times. Okay, now we have initialize, we have evaluate, and one last thing before we finish our loop is we need to update. Okay, so we have count equals 0, count less than, so how do we get from 0 to 10? Okay, we're going to increase it by 1, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 9. Okay, so we will do count plus plus. Alright, so that is that for the looping. But for the process, okay, it's not just the C in score, we need to also total out the score. Alright, so to total out the score, the formula for total, okay, would be total equals to total plus, okay, whatever that is, what you're adding here will be the thing that you want to accumulate. So in this case, I want to add up the score right here, so we write score here. Okay, so how it works is that we need to initialize this total as 0, because right now, okay, so let's say we go into here, we take the first score. Okay, let's say I put inside here 83. Okay, let's say user enters here 83. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a variable so that we can store this number inside the total. Right, so total equals to, right now we don't have a total, right, so we need to declare up here as total. Okay, we need to write it equals to 0, because right now total doesn't exist. So if we calculate it using this formula, so total right now is 0 plus the score, which is 83. So then 0 plus 83 will be 83. So 83 will be stored inside total. Okay, so total right now it will contain 83. Okay, so let's say we do count plus plus. Okay, then count will become 1, so it will still be true, then it will take up another score. Let's say the next score is 90. Okay, so total equals to total, right now the total is 83, right? Then it will be 83 plus the score that the user enters, which is 90, then it will that up. So 8 plus 9 will be 173. Okay, so right now total will be stored as 173. So basically this is the formula to accumulate. Okay, accumulate things. So whenever you want to add up or total up any numbers, anything, okay, inside the loop, this is the formula for that. Okay, you can use any name that you want, but this is how the formula works. All right. Okay, so let's remove that. All right. So now we've got our total. So it will total up all of the scores that will be entered by the user up to 10 scores. Okay. So after that, lastly, we need to calculate the average. Okay, the average we don't need to calculate inside the loop because average is only calculated once. Okay, total you must put it inside the loop because we are totaling up each score that is entered by the user inside the loop. Okay, so since average will be calculated only once, we can just do it outside. Okay, so average equals to total divided by how many times we repeated this? We repeated this around 10 times. Okay, so we'll write here float average. Okay, since average will produce a decimal value, so we do float average. So float average equals to total, which we'll get from here, divided by the number of scores, which is 10. Okay, so in the end, see out total score, which we'll get it from total, and then lastly see out average score, we'll get it from the average that we just calculated. Okay, and that is how we solve this problem.